If your child has cut off contact, the hardest part isn't the silence. It's the question that keeps you up at night. Where did I go wrong? You replay the past over and over. The words you said, the moments you wish you could take back, and the ones you don't even understand. Some days you feel angry, other days just heartbroken. And then there are those quiet moments where you miss them so much it physically hurts. But here's the part no one really talks about. There are so many parents living with this pain silently, smiling in public, but carrying this deep private grief inside. If that's you, I want you to know something right now. You are not alone, and this video is not about blaming you. It's not about blaming your child either. This is about understanding, and more importantly, about healing. What you're feeling right now is more complicated than most people realize. It's not just sadness, it's a mix of grief, confusion, anger, and sometimes even shame. You might be asking yourself, why would my own child do this to me? Or maybe, what did I do that was so wrong? And then there's that quiet fear you don't always say out loud. What if this never gets fixed? These thoughts, they can be overwhelming. And depending on the day, your emotions may shift. One moment, you miss them deeply. The next, you feel hurt, maybe even resentful. All of that is human. All of that is valid. But here's something important you need to hear. This is happening to more families than you think. More and more parents today are facing distance, silence, even complete estrangement from their children. And yet, almost no one talks about it openly because it's painful, because it feels personal, and because many parents are afraid of being judged. So instead, they carry it quietly. But before we jump to conclusions, before we decide who's right and who's wrong, let's slow down. Because healing doesn't start with blame, it starts with understanding. When a child chooses to cut off contact, it can feel like rejection, like betrayal, even like a complete breakdown of everything you believed your relationship was. But in many cases, this decision isn't about punishment. It's about protection. Not protection from you as a person, but protection from how they feel. For some adult children, distance is the only way they know how to cope with emotions they've never fully processed. That doesn't mean they don't love you, and it doesn't always mean they fully understand their own decision either. There are often layers beneath this silence. Sometimes it's a gap between generations, different values, different ways of seeing the world. What felt normal to you may have felt hurtful to them. Sometimes it's pain that built up slowly over time, not one big moment, but many small ones. Misunderstandings that were never talked through, feelings that were never fully heard, and sometimes it comes down to communication. Things said in frustration or things never said at all. Over the years, those patterns can create distance, even when love is still there underneath. Now, hearing this can be difficult because it might feel like everything is being turned back on you, but that's not the point. Understanding is not the same as agreeing. You can begin to understand your child's perspective without accepting everything they believe. And more importantly, without losing your own sense of self. Because the goal here isn't to decide who was right. It's to begin seeing the full picture, so healing actually becomes possible. When we're in pain, we often react in ways that feel natural, but can unintentionally push our children even further away. Let's talk about a few of those reactions, not to judge, but to gently become aware. The first one is trying to reach out too much, calling again and again, sending long messages, asking, "Why won't you answer me?" It comes from love, from desperation. But to your child, it can feel overwhelming, like pressure, instead of connection. Sometimes silence needs space. Another common reaction is holding on to the belief that parents are always right. You may feel, "I sacrifice so much. How could they treat me this way?" And that feeling is real. But when a conversation starts from, "I'm right, you're wrong," it leaves no room for understanding. Then there's something many parents don't realize they're doing: bringing others into the situation, asking relatives to call them, or saying things like, "Your mother is heartbroken. How can you do this?" It may seem like a way to fix things, but often it creates more distance, because now your child feels judged or even cornered. And finally, there's the quiet role many parents fall into, seeing themselves only as the victim, telling themselves, "I did everything right. This is all on them." That belief can protect you from pain in the short term, but it can also block any chance of real healing. Let me give you a simple example. A mother sends her son multiple messages every day. He doesn't reply. She becomes more anxious, sends even more, until eventually he blocks her completely. From her side, it was love. From his side, it felt like pressure he couldn't handle. Same situation. Two very different experiences. And this is where things begin to shift. Not when we blame ourselves, and not when we blame them, but when we start to see there may be more happening beneath the surface. So, what can you actually do when the person you love most won't speak to you? Healing doesn't happen all at once. It starts with small, intentional steps. The first step is to pause your reaction. That means resisting the urge to call again, to send another message, to demand answers right now. Not because you don't care, but because space can sometimes do what pressure cannot. Give them space, and just as importantly, give yourself space too. The second step is to reflect without attacking yourself. It's easy to fall into guilt, to replay every mistake, and tell yourself, "I ruined everything." But healing is not about tearing yourself down. It's about gently asking, "What might I not have seen before?" With honesty, but also with compassion for yourself. The third step is to express your emotions in a safe way. Instead of sending that long message in the heat of the moment, try writing it down first. Everything you wish you could. Say every hurt, every question, every memory. You don't have to send it. Sometimes the act of writing is what helps release the weight you've been carrying. And then, if the opportunity comes to reconnect, the fourth step is crucial. Lead with listening, not defending. That means letting them speak without interrupting, without correcting, without trying to prove your side right away. Because for many adult children, feeling heard is more important than being agreed with. And this part may be the hardest to accept. You cannot control when or if they come back. But you can control how you show up if that moment ever arrives. And that's why the most important part of all this is not fixing the relationship immediately. It's healing yourself first, because when you begin to find peace within, you no longer reach out from desperation. You reach out from understanding, and that changes everything. No matter how far your child may feel right now, one thing remains true. A parent's love doesn't disappear. Not with silence, not with distance, not even with time. It stays quiet, patient, and often unspoken. You may not hear their voice. You may not see their name light up your phone, but that love you carry for them is still there, and it always will be. And sometimes, as painful as it is, distance creates something that closeness could not. Space to reflect, space to grow, space to see things that neither side could see before. It doesn't mean the relationship is over. Sometimes it means the relationship is changing, becoming something different, something that one day might find its way back in a healthier, more understanding form. So, if you're holding on to hope, you're not foolish. You're human. Before you go, I want to ask you something. How long has it been since you last spoke to your child? A few days? A few months? Or even years? And if you could say just one thing to them right now, from your heart, what would it be? Maybe it's, I miss you. Maybe it's, I'm sorry. Or maybe just, I love you. If you feel comfortable, share it in the comments below, because you might think you're alone in this, but there are so many parents here who understand exactly how you feel. And sometimes healing begins just by being heard. And if this video spoke to you, consider subscribing, because in the next video, I'm going to guide you through something very different. Not analysis, not advice, but a quiet moment just for you. A short, calming experience with gentle words, breathing, and reflection to help you feel even just a little less alone. Because even if it feels that way right now, you are not forgotten.